This week's reading was titled The Last Mass Shooting by Bradley A. Serber. So what this reading focused on was the 2018 Parkland school shooting, which sadly killed 17 students and teachers. And it doesn't really focus on the shooting itself, but more the response to the shooting. The survivors of the mass shootings, the students, spoke up, and they started a movement with the hashtag #NeverAgain. And what this meant was they never wanted another mass shooting to happen again, that they wanted to be the last one. They did not want to be a statistic. Shortly afterwards, 100 students took part in a 2-day trip that resulted in 70 meetings with state legislators to discuss gun laws. Here's a phrase brought up. The phrase was "warrant of the dead." So what does this mean? The way I could describe it is this duty to honor the victims, the duty to do their deaths right. There's also another term that was brought up, which was the apocalyptic suppline. So it was kind of a tough one for me to really grasp what this meant, but I think I kind of got there. So it's this odd compulsion and satisfaction we get about this anticipation of new horrific details from tragedies. It's, for example, when we were driving by an accident, we always stop just to look what happened. Or when a mass shooting unfortunately happens, one of the first things we want to know is how many victims were there. We want to know these details even though, unfortunately, tragedies happen. And of course, you can see this through the mass media and how they cover this stuff. The mass media will cover these tragedies extensively. And it's not just weeks after, it's months, it's years, it could be decades. We continue to talk about this stuff. And of course, the media benefits off this with viewership. So I want to go back to the Never Again movement. This movement popped off really quickly. A lot of people used the hashtag. The account gained 300,000 followers very quickly. And of course, the author had to bring up maybe some of the negative consequences of this movement. People took the term "never again" to heart. The supporters, never again, meant that there would never be another mass shooting again. And the unfortunate side of this is it created this promise that was unreasonable and that would set them up for re-traumatization. And a quote that really stuck with me was, "It anticipates the end of shootings, but never actualizes the end of shootings." And then there was the position of the students, the people who created this movement. They were in this really interesting position where they were not young enough to not know what they were doing, but they're also young enough to where they truly couldn't be pushed back from adults, or else people would view adults in this weird manner of, why are you talking to kids in this way? Why are you hating on kids? Stuff like that. And this really helped them because it gained traction. People wanted to support them and they knew what they were doing at such a young age. And they used technology to their advantage to spread their movement, of course, as I mentioned, with the followers, with the hashtag. But they also used offline sources, which might have surprised some people. Like they created this Parkland manifesto, which listed certain things they wanted. And of course, there was the response to their work, to their actions, which was kind of the same old. These pro-gun states kind of lightened their restrictions, unfortunately, while anti-gun states tightened. And another statistic that really stuck with me was, since 2015, the U.S. has more guns than people. So what Never Again can kind of set up is anything that doesn't truly succeed in their goal of never again is seen as a failure. And it feels like they're dishonoring the dead, which is not true. They have good intentions, but it's that feeling that if you don't truly accomplish what you want, then you failed. And as it relates to our class, they use their argumentation and debate skills as their biggest strength, alongside their access to resources and their unique position at their age group. And the students used all this to make a change. Things did happen as a result of their movement. While it may not have achieved their true goal of ending mass shootings, unfortunately, as we can see, there have been more shootings over the past few years since 2018. Their words made an impact. People supported them, as we can see with the followers, with the hashtags. And of course, with how the states responded, people met with them. And states changed some of their laws. Of course, some of them didn't benefit their movement, but their movement had an impact. So, to round this all up, I think we need to look at this as maybe they didn't reach their true goal yet, but that's okay because they have made progress, which is the most important thing. And what they are doing does truly honor the victims of the tragedy. And hopefully, in the near future, their movement can continue to impact. And maybe, just maybe, eventually, there will be no more mass shootings, which is very unlikely, sadly. but still, the fact that they are doing something about it is important, and we need to honor that. Thank you to anyone who's listening to this podcast. Have a good day.